Players Pick Podcast, Picks and Perspective with Chrys Johnson. Palpable paradox.
Hey, brother.
Dretto, my dude, what's up, man? Where you at?
Oh, I am. Dude, 1 second here. Get myself organized. How you been?
Oh, I'm great, dude. It's been a good week. You?
I've been good. I've been taking kind of a relaxing break. So I've been, typically my brain works like this. I can be uber creative on like one thing at a time. So let's see how that works. Is that good?
Yeah, it's good.
Cool.
Good. All right. Well, welcome to the podcast, Dretto, man. It's nice to have you as a guest. And I know that you've, as we spoke before, you're kind of on a hunt for a new pick. So, I mean, what better guy to be talking to than the guy that's made picks for the Stars for many, many years?
Exactly.
Well, what's going on with you, man? I sent you a pack, and I'm curious, like, how's that working out? You said that you like a few of them, and you got the opportunity to kind of like disregard a few of them too.
Yeah, so I actually I went through and I have like a selection of picks that I thought I like different elements of them. It's not like I have one pick in this little grouping here that I'm like, that's the one. And I don't know why. I don't know if it should be like an instant oh, that's the pick. But I like different elements from each one. So I suppose I could quickly go through. There's probably about maybe 10 picks here or so. I could go through and say what I like about each pick, and then maybe you can help me decide. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. I mean, there may be something. Oftentimes in this type of exploration, right? Like we find out that that there is something like that we maybe, through combining the different elements of the different pieces, you know, we said, oh, okay, oh, I really like this and I like that. Could I get these two things into one pick? And then we go to Dunlop or somebody else and be like, hey, man, like there may be a pick out there that I didn't send you that is that combo, right? We search for that for you. Or maybe it can be made, you know, all things are possible.
So starting here on one end of the spectrum, I guess, this Justin Timberlake pick, ultra thin. I like it for the reason that I'm a super hard player. So like when I play live, typically I always bust this part of my finger open, and there may or may not be some blood splattered across the guitar. I know Kiesel does the blood splatter guitars, but there's nothing like a Dretto blood splatter guitar.
Like a real thing, yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm all calloused up now, so that probably won't happen. But with the soft the soft malleable picks, you get that chime, a really bright sound, but it takes some of the balls out of it for me. So there's a give and a take with this pick. Typically, I'll use it for acoustic, like a lot of players do. So I would like to find an ideal acoustic pick as well as an ideal electric pick, and this is definitely, I think it's too thin, but it's a cool tool. You know what I mean? So now these are all going to be like electric picks now. One of the top competitors here for my pick of choice would be this bulb pick.
Oh yeah, the Misha.
That's the Misha pick, you know, and it combines my need for a more pointy pick, because I've been using these I've been forcing myself to just use this standard pick for so long, and my reasoning behind this is so stupid, but I thought to myself, I don't want to be that guy that needs a special guitar pick to play his best. You know, like what a prima donna, right? But I mean, I've been doing that for like 2 years, and I can't stand like compromising my comfort and my accuracy with this pick. Like I learned from a Paul Gilbert instructional video one time that if a pick is rounded versus if it's pointed, a point you have, you can, how can I even demonstrate this? So say here's the string. A point, you only have to move that far over to clear the string. So you're using less energy than if you were to use a rounded pick. You have to move this far over to clear the string. So the key and the trick to becoming a really fast and accurate player is minimizing movement. And a millimeter here and there, that's the difference. So yeah, this pick's great. I love Tortex. I always have. It's my pick material of choice. I just don't like that there's no grips on it. And I've been spoiled now because most of the picks you sent me have like these awesome grips and they're just fantastic. This was also a great pick, is this Flow 0.73.
Oh, that's the shit right there. Yeah.
This is a good pick, man.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. Is this something that you gravitate towards?
Yeah, man. 73 is like, I love 88s. I love even the thinner ones like a 0.60 and the Tortex. Like kind of Misha's are usually, I think that classic Misha one, there is a 0.60. He's got some new picks that are made out of Delrin, I believe, that are the same shape. They're the Flow shape, but they're a little bit thinner. I think there's like a 71 and then there's like and maybe a 60 or something, or 63 or something like that. I forget what the odd numbers are, but every time I go through all the picks, I'm like, I got picks, baby. Like I got, like I got all these super thickies. I got all these different things, but I end up back on 73s, and it's either that pick that you're holding right there, the 73 Ultex with the grip, or a Tortex, which I sent you a couple of these that are my pick, my kind of my signature pick with the little mandala on the back and stuff. Those are 73 Tortex Flow because they got snap, and so they flex, but they don't, they're not so stiff and rigid that I can't get kind of like a little bit of out of the side of the pick a little bit as I'm chugging and doing that whole thing. So it's not surprising that you gravitate towards that 73. Tell me more.
Yeah, the 73 is, it just feels like such a happy combination of everything that I'm looking for. It's got enough rigidity in it, but it's light enough where it can help diffuse the abuse that I put on the guitar. I have this guy in here, the Flow 0.88, which I'll be honest, it's way low on the totem pole. I don't actually know why it's in this group of the ones that made it to the next round, but it's there. Maybe I just like this color green, all right, this next one we've got here is the Prime Tone 0.73. So there's a common theme here of that thickness feels real good. But the grips on this, the Animals as Leaders pick, I think this is.
Oh yeah. That's the Javier pick.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry. That's the one that Tosin played for a while, and then he went back to a Jazz 3 Prime Tone. Javier plays the green one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. The grip on this is just fantastic. It feels like sandpaper, and that's what I want. I just want to feel like I'm holding like 80 grit sandpaper, just like it's not going anywhere. That'd be great. I loved your picks. Like these picks right here just felt and sounded so good. Okay, so there's like a feel aspect and a sound aspect to all these picks, and I think these picks are so comfortable, but I don't like the way they sound at all. They sound super synthetic, and they add this weird thing to the note. They just add it, and I'm not a fan of it. But this pick right here, the mandala pick, dude, it just rips, and it's comfortable. And I like white. I just like a white pick. Just looks super clean in the hand. You know what I mean?
You can find it if you drop it on the dark stage. That's a thing too, right? Yeah,
exactly.
That's cool, man. Well, the 73, that's a 73 Tortex. And so, and you'll notice probably this is part of what you're might be noticing is that even the color that, like if you have a 73 white Tortex, a 73 black Tortex, and a 73 yellow Tortex. One of them, they'll have a slight, I mean, if you're really tuning in, they're going to be a little different. The colorant can shift the way that the pick flexes a little bit. And you may, somebody that's really tuned in may notice a slight audible difference. Now, the big audible difference between that Animals as Leaders pick, for example, with Ultex, like thin Ultim and Ultex has a real high note, and it's kind of a brittle thing. And that's probably what you're kind of like anti, right? Like you're like,
exactly. It adds, Tortex adds a grit to the note, and the Ultex adds this, like exactly what you said. It adds this ping, and it adds like it takes away. It makes it too smooth, and it sounds like the way that the robot from iRobot looks, if that makes sense.
Super smooth, yeah.
Super smooth. It's just too smooth. You know what I mean?
That's so the other element there that it's experiencing in between the two picks is that Tortex is made out of a sheet, so it's stamped out of a sheet, and so in the stamping process, like a cookie cutter stamp, you get abrupt edges that then the picks are tossed into a tumbler, and they tumble the edges off, so they soften the sharp edges. Whereas the Ultex is an injection molded pick, and they can make the edges soft or smooth and round and create a bevel, right? And so when you create a bevel, you're looking for fast release on the pit on the strings, and so it glides. It's fast, right? But if you've been a Tortex person for a long time, you're kind of used to a little bit of drag, on the edge. You want a little bit of resistance as part of what's giving you that kind of raspy, audible sound. And sometimes, like Devin Townsend would, he actually kind of turns the pick and kind of when he chugs, and so he actually really uses the edge in a lot of ways for the audible as a part of kind of the overall distortion and punch in the riff. So that may be something that you're also noticing there, is that it's minuscule, but there's a certain amount of drag that comes with those sharper edges. Maybe that's a factor. I don't know.
I completely agree. That was one of the points I was going to bring up, is the Ultex or the Ultex. It's almost so frictionless the way that that's actually that word is it got quite a history on YouTube. There's this guy Cody Co. And he has been roasted for like the past 10 years for using the word frictionless, but
really?
It actually works here. Like there is such a lack of friction on with this pick, because it's too smooth for me that like I find myself not feeling the string. You know what I'm saying? Like with this, it's like think about it like a finely tuned performance car. Like I equate this to like really heavy steering. Like you almost can't even tell where the wheels are. It's so smooth. This is like, like a race car. Like you can feel, all right, the wheels, exactly where the wheels are pointed because you can feel the road beneath you. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what it feels like if I'm forced to put it into terms. And 100%, these two, no matter if they're the same pick exactly or if they're not, they feel different. Are they exactly the same thicknesses?
They're exactly the same thicknesses, but the black one is Ultex. So that one's an Ultex flow without the grip. So that's the same as that 73 blue one. Yeah. Just no grip. But it's, you gravitated towards the white one. So the white one is, got the Tortex edge and the sound. I'm curious. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm curious about like, if you want to kind of take us back, because we're starting at the end right here where we're talking about what's next for you. But like, before we kind of finish this part of the story or this part of the conversation, let's go back and like, tell me about where your relationship with picks began. Like when you started playing, who influenced you, and how did you pick? What do you remember about your first couple of guitar picks? Was one of your teachers like, oh no, you got to play this, John? Or did you just see somebody, or did you pick it up from the store or whatever? And then take us through like some of your experiences with guitar picks up until like even more recently when you've been demonstrating and checking out some of these high-end artisan picks. I'd like to hear about that in contrast to what you prefer.
Sure, absolutely. So when I first started playing, it didn't really matter what I used. I'm talking first couple months. It just doesn't matter. My teacher always used the red Jazz 3s, the nylon, and he swore by them, always has. And I have always just hated the sound of a nylon pick in my hands. Other players make it sound so good, but for me and my playing style, it just doesn't complement it well to my ear. And it takes me out of it. So I began the search for a more finely tuned pick probably about 3 or 4 years into my playing. And I got the red Jazz 3s, and I always just hated how small they were. I don't have extremely large hands, but like I got really long fingers for this. I have pretty a slender hand, but pretty long fingers. And I guess the way that my thumb is shaped, like it's kind of strange, right? Like a lot of people's thumbs look like that, but I kind of have this bone that like sticks out like that. And then a pretty large surface area of thumb. Some people got like kind of stubby thumbs. I got like a lot of surface area there. So if I were to just hold a Jazz 3, like that Jazz 3 is,
it's tiny in your hands, bro.
It's gone. Yeah. It's gone. So I found these picks called the Black Ice by Planet Waves, and they sounded a bit better, and they actually are a bit bigger than a Jazz 3. So that really got me excited. Like there's a little size comparison. I think you can kind of see it's quite a bit bigger. Now, as I started playing out more, I started gigging more. I always tell this I teach sometimes. I always tell this to my students. 80%, maybe even 90% of guitar playing is rhythm playing. So you don't build your whole rig and your whole sound and feel around your solos. Make sure you're comfortable while you're doing everything, right? So I like cars. So I see, I used to watch Top Gear all the time, and I've seen all the episodes 5 times. So Jeremy Clarkson once said, why would you walk around all year in flippers and a scuba suit if you go to the Caribbean once a year, right?
Yeah.
So you should not build your whole lifestyle and things around something that you do once in a while. So anyway, I started looking for thinner picks, and part of that was because Paul Gilbert. I'm a huge Paul Gilbert fan and nut, right? I've seen all his instructional videos. I've seen all his live solos. I've dissected all his live solos. I've listened to all his albums a trillion times, and he's just fantastic. And the way that his career evolved is just so interesting to me. Like now he could care less about playing fast and about like now he just likes to like play kind of like jazz, but like not even like super crazy, like complicated jazz. He's like just likes a nice simple blues tune. You know what I mean? Like what a crazy turn of events. But he's always used thinner picks with the rounded edge, and he's one of the most terrifying pickers in the game, like that I've ever done it. So I started using 0.6 standard Dunlop pick with the rounded edge, and I love the tone on the lower strings because it's the thinner the pick gets, the more that edge of that pick gets in between the windings of the string. So you get a every time you pick, and it sounds so aggressive. I love it. But it was too floppy for me. I couldn't control it. So I moved up to the 0.73s, and ever since then I've been battling with wanting a pointier pick, but I was too nervous. It's such a weird thing. Like picks are not really expensive, right? They're a couple bucks here and there. But like I was literally so nervous of once I dive into wanting to get like a new pick, I'll never stop. And then I was already pretty good with these picks, the standard 0.73. I thought I'm going to mess myself up. I'm not going to know where home is, this and that. And I got to go and try them and, you know, this and that. So I made every excuse in the book to just not. But every once in a while, I'll whip out a Tortex Jazz 3. I don't know. I don't have any on hand right now, but a Tortex Jazz 3, the black ones. And
like the XL probably?
No, the real small ones. Yeah.
Okay.
And those would be if I had a solo that I knew I had to like nail in the studio, I would whip that out and I would feel so guilty about it. And I don't know why. I have no idea why. Like, why is there this internal struggle of like a pick, right? So then, you know, I started doing so much social media that all of these brands started. First of all, if you guys are looking for a really cool way to store your picks, I love candles. So I always have candles burning everywhere I am. And you can just melt the wax out of your candles. And then it continues, the glass smells like the candle. So all your picks just kind of absorb like this nice scent. It's awesome. And you know, you can do this as many times as you'd like. And yeah, they're really cool. I have a bunch of picks here that I've never actually tried, but I rock
the caveman bowl, bro, over here. We don't have the scented candle.
Oh my gosh.
Caveman bowl.
I don't even have that many picks.
No, I'm sure. Go on.
Here is a pick. They got my name on them, John Dretto. I'll take them out. They're made of wood.
So they must have like a laser etched those or something. That's cool.
Exactly. Yeah. So they did. A company sent me those. I have these prime tones here that I never opened, I guess.
Those are really cool, though. I would try them just to experience. I think I might have sent you one standard prime tone in there somewhere too. It's because they have asymmetrical bevels. And it's just
I noticed that actually.
They're their own thing, man. And like the grips are great. And just FYI, you should definitely give it a shot.
So this is a pick you're gonna get a kick out of. And you actually asked me about this pick.
Oh yeah. I want to know about this.
This is
what the heck is that?
This right here is called the Metalhead from Hammerhead Guitar Picks. So
Hammerhead.
What a story that this pick is. So I have a friend in LA, and he has a really good friend that has developed like a cleaning product, like a really good cleaning product. I believe it's Fabric Clear. So now, he's done quite well off of that and some other business ventures that he's had. And now he just like creates for a living. He just like has the freedom to do that. So he's a guitar player. And he's actually really good. Like this guy is seriously good, but he's so humble about it. So his thought process behind this was not everyone can do what a guitar player can do tapping wise, especially beginners, right? It's pretty intimidating. So, but there's also a sound with tapping from the side of the pick that you can't get anywhere any other way, right? So he made two versions. He made the classic, right, which has it's just a plastic nylon pick.
Okay.
And there's some more picks coming like this in different materials. But this one is the one that caught my attention, the Metalhead. It's literally just a piece of stainless steel on your pick. And it's got some weight to it. It's a cool feeling to play it. And it sounds ultra metallic, and it's just a beast. Like it's such an interesting way to play guitar. So the way that you use it is you actually hold it backwards from what you would think you would do. So you hold it so that the metal is on the inside. Then you use your middle finger to push it out, and then you can tap it like this. Then you use your middle finger to bring it back, and you pick.
That's cool. Wow. Yeah, I thought I'd seen you using it for tapping on one of your videos, and I was like, oh, did I have to ask John about where that came from and what the deal is with that?
I'll have to get some more and send one to you, send a couple to you so you can try them out.
Please. Yeah, that'd be amazing. And do you find that like that it kind of replaces the middle finger tap essentially instead of
So
or
it's so second nature for me to use my middle finger to tap
Mm,
that nothing can replace that. I don't care what it is, but when you're conscious of that you have this tool, you do tap differently. You make more of an event out of it, right? So for me, typically how I'll play is like I'll do a run and then tap and then maybe slide and get off. I don't normally do giant tapping runs all the way up and down the neck, although I can. It's just not something I often do. But
sure.
with this, like when this is in hand, it's like, all right, now I got to do this whole deal now, right? So um it's really a cool invention here. And then I have this is my guilty pleasure here, as I mentioned earlier. I mean, I have like just these. I could keep scooping just black jazz threes forever. And I don't know why. I love this pick. It's okay. I got to ask you this. What is this white chalk on the pick when you get it? That is the best thing ever.
So it's a family, it's a Dunlop family secret, right? Like, but it happens in the tumbling process. I couldn't reveal it, otherwise I'd have like secret agents like sniping me through the window. Like
Right.
it's the way the Dunlop family goes. They are gangster mafia, no matter how nice they are to your face. Like if you cross them. No, I mean I joke, but I'm not joking. Yeah, no, it comes, it is a part of the process in the tumbling. And that's kind of like what it sets those picks apart from every other plastic style pick, is that when you get that, there's this strange film that you're like, it feels so good on my hand, and it strangely when they're fresh, you don't need you don't feel like you need a grip because there's already a thing there, and it kind of absorbs your sweat and your oil
Yeah,
on
that's what I
fingers
was
a
gonna
little bit.
say.
Yeah.
So you know what? I hate to try and burst the bubble here, but I think I know what it is.
Mm.
Um, it's some sort. It could be like a really, really fine powdered like stone, like some sort of talc, like talcum powder. So you know what I might try is I might try and I might get a tumbler and just put my picks in it with talcum powder and see what happens. But because that sounds fun. But then I have some nostalgic picks too. Like I just went and saw my buddy LVO play in Daughtry,
Mm.
and I got picks from so many bands. But
Cool.
I just think that's the coolest thing.
You
So
recently
these
got
are
to kick it with Bonamassa too, right?
oh yeah, oh my gosh. So I have a Bonamassa pick.
Did I send you one, or
Actually,
did you already have one? I don't know. I thought I might have sent you one, but
you sent me
oh no, Matt Heafy. His is the gold one with the kanji on it.
oh, that's Matt Heafy. I thought this was like Gojira or something.
No, that's Matt's. Yeah, I did that one
Okay,
with him. It's
cool.
got the gold sparkle in it.
Yeah, first of all, this is the most attractive pick I've ever seen. This
He will love to hear
sparkle,
that. Yeah.
this sparkle is just like it's so good. It's gorgeous, and this is the best grip on any pick I've ever felt.
That's
Uh,
a high compliment. Did you try the Meshuggah pick I sent you?
the Meshuggah pick
It's all
is
black. It should be the most aggressive. It's a standard shape, so you might have passed over it.
I think I did pass over it. Let me just go back here because I've got them all right here. I'll find it real fast. Oh yeah, it's right here. Yeah,
This
it's not as good. It's not
no?
as good of a grip. No, because
Okay.
this is like a circular pattern. I don't know if it'll focus here, but it's like a circular pattern, and this just feels like diamond plated steel if it was sandpaper.
So you can really feel the difference and when you hold that. That shows
Exactly.
like a high level of sensitivity in the fingertips. It's good.
Yeah, and the fact that this goes across the whole face of the pick. Granted, it's not a very large face, but it
Right.
goes across the whole face. Whereas these picks here are there. It's not on the whole face. You can kind of feel the corners are smooth. You know, and this is what I always feared. This is how critical I would get with a pick. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the way I started to look at it. If I show up and I don't play guitar unless I have my gear, what difference does a pick make? You know what I mean? Like, I might as well show up with the pick I'm comfortable with, because part of my thing was, if I show up without a pick, I would. And then I was like, does anyone have a guitar pick? And they handed me like a standard guitar pick. And I'm like, oh, I can't play with that. Like, that always scared the crap out of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
For
That's
some
fair.
reason, it's an intimidating thought. So I've got a lot of, so I started to say, I started getting pretty involved in social media. And at the inception of my social media was guitar lessons and super guitar centric, like by guitar players for guitar players type stuff. So the obvious choice for me was to start promoting gear for guitar players. So I've got like a ton of stone picks, and they are a guilty pleasure. It's like every once in a while when you want to have like a nice glass of wine and relax, it's the same thing with a pick for me. Like, it's just the weight. It's like a fine pen. The weight, the texture, the sound, depending on how they cut the stone, you can get a really almost like a sharpening stone, has that grit to it. You can get like that scrapey grit every time you hit a note, versus like a really, really smooth, almost like glass finish. And I have one pick here that, like, it literally feels like physical therapy. It's so
Wow.
relaxing. It's this one. It's by Iron Age Picks.
Oh, I love Iron Age.
They're fantastic and they're great guys.
Yeah, they are.
So this is just an ultra smooth, rounded kind of edge, not dissimilar from the Misha pick.
Yeah, it's like similar geometry to the flow style.
It's really almost identical, actually, except for like the butt end of it.
Yeah.
It's so smooth. And I actually lost this pick for about 2 years. And then I was doing like a deep clean of the house, and I was under the bed, and in the bed frame, I can't even make this up. It was in the bed frame on the inside of the foot that is holding up the big bed frame.
Hilarious.
And it's something I thought about pretty frequently. I'm like, where's this pick? For like 2 years, I'm like, I love this pick. And it's this one. It's not like I would get a replacement for it. This pick has something to it. There's also these Iron Age picks that are like ballistic material, like they would make like,
oh yeah,
like gun handles out of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they make really cool shapes. Like, check out speaking of Iron Age, there's this guy. See if I can get it in the light.
Oh wow!
It's got kind of a see-through, and it's got a composite thing. It's kind of like etched in there. Iron Age.
Yeah.
They do little auctions, and I won this at the auction. I ended up paying like $60 for this one. I was like, I really like it. I gotta have it. And then recently, they did a batch of the playable Pick of Destinies. So this one's glow in the dark. I wanted to get one
so bad, and it totally it didn't seem important enough to me. And then when they were like, "We're sold out," that's when I was like, I should have gotten one.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll do another batch. I mean, they're really cool. And then not Iron Age, my other latest pick that I got to show you is this one from. Are you familiar with Mean Tone Picks?
No, I'm not.
This guy, I think it's. Man, I'm gonna screw this up. Where did he? I won't even say where it's from. I think it's definitely Europe. I'm screwing it up. But this is like what they call a material they call Bakelite. And if you look,
they used to make guitar handles out of it in the 50s. They would make so like 50s, 51, 52 broadcasters and no casters.
Oh, okay.
Their cases would have handles. They're super fragile.
Yeah.
And to stand the test of time, it's a beautiful material. It's ultra hard and light. You know what I mean? And it's got such a resonant quality to it. It's almost like porcelain. It's
Well,
close.
check out what they did for the grip. So they put holes in there, and there's little tiny bits, and so you put a rubber band around the little tiny little nubs inside the hole, and you can stretch the rubber band around, so the rubber band ends up being the grip.
Oh,
Like
how cool! It
and
looks like an arrowhead, actually.
Yeah, and it comes with a bunch of extra rubber bands that you can kind of like. Well, I just broke that one, but you can attach them and wrap them around, and now you can see the inside of it a little bit better. It's a trip, man.
See, now that pick right there is the reason I'm afraid to start diving into guitar picks. Because what if I hold that and I'm like, I can have no other pick? Then like I'm that guy. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
I saw a rig rundown of one of my favorite all-time guitar players, Guthrie Govan, and it's one of everybody's favorites, right?
Yeah.
So he used these bear claw picks or something like that.
Red Bear,
and he says he had to stop leaving it in his behind his strings in his guitar neck because people would steal it at sound check. And I never played one of those picks, but he swears by those picks.
So actually, last conversation I had with Guthrie was out at John Petrucci's camp a couple of years ago, one of the last ones before COVID hit. And he was like, I love my Red Bear picks, but obviously it would be nice to have a pick that was accessible too, because they'll make a batch of those things. They sell out instantly, and it's like he can't give picks away to anybody because they're too expensive. And they're like 30, $40 a pop. So he's trying not to lose them himself, or get them stolen. So there was a talk that around like, oh, how do we make a Red Bear clone over at Dunlop for him so that he'd have a more entry level pick that he could give away or that people could afford and get all the time. So I don't know if that's still a conversation that we can have, but like I need to chat with him and see if that's the case, because I know there's like a little cult following for that pick that he's created with Red Bear. So
yeah, I wouldn't have known about it if he hadn't said it. So it's obviously doing something.
It's doing something. Yeah.
So I have a couple more picks to go through here from the batch you sent. Actually, let me do this.
Please.
A company sent me these picks, and I get them and they go here on my desk. And then I have 1,000 other things that I have to do and hop on phone calls and do emails, and they kind of slowly make their way to the outside of the desk.
Oh.
And then they meet the fate of everything that goes to the outside of the desk. They go in the drawer, and then they're gone. Right. So this is called the Attack pick. And they're guitar picks with a textured end for acoustic. I've never tried them, but I guess it's supposed to make it sound like 2 or 3 guitars are playing at the same time.
It's interesting you bring that up. I think Devin Townsend actually just got some of those picks, and actually he doesn't like them all the time, but he actually likes them for heavy stuff, not just acoustic. So I'd be interested to see. That would be
pretty cool to hear with the heavy stuff. I would be interested to know what that sounds like. I'm tracking a lot now. Like I'm doing my original music, and cool. It's so weird. Like I've been playing music for almost 17 years.
Oof.
And I started singing, I've probably been playing 8 years, and I started singing. And it was like I started singing Freddie King, old blues stuff. And that's not what my voice does. Like as you can hear, like I don't have a weathered, real
gravelly,
right? So, but I gravitate towards music with some balls, right? So
yeah.
This music that I'm doing now has been, without knowing it, it's been in the development for years and years and years. I've been preparing for these 3 or so songs for probably 6 years.
Wow.
I mean, 4 years. I'll say 4 years. I've been preparing for it. That's
Sure.
just the writing part. The vocal part, I really have not been singing too much. Like the only reason I had to sing was I sang harmonies in some bands. I sang in an acoustic duo, and then I sing on social media sometimes. But I don't like practice like a dedicated vocalist. Now I kind of do. But I'll tell you what, it is a totally different world than guitar playing. And I mean, guitar is a pitched instrument. And so is your voice, but there's fixed pitches on the guitar. Your voice, you got to get to know, and your pitch can either, your range is so much greater than you think it is, depending on how much air you hold back or you control. I mean, there's so many variables here. I know this is a pick podcast, but that's part of my musical journey right now is working on singing, and it's so rewarding and it's so fun, and I'm starting to get used to the sound of my voice and the texture of it, and I like it. It took me a long time to like get to that point. It's probably taken me almost 10 years to get to the point where I'm like, yeah, my voice is kind of cool, because I've hated it for so long, because I always heard what I wanted it to be, not what
it was.
Not what it was. Exactly. Yeah. So here's the 4 picks I have remaining. Pick number 1 is the 0.73, the green one from Animals as Leaders.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not as good as other ones that we've tried. This is just a masterpiece of a pick. We already talked about it. The gold
sparkle Matt Hafey.
Matt, that's a masterpiece of a pick. And then there's this guy, the Hetfield. I did not think I would love this pick, but it's a cool pick, man. Like it feels good. It doesn't feel like Tortex.
No, so the story behind that one is that he has a different signature pick with Dunlop called the Black Fang, and it's an Ultex Sharp. The Black Fang is, and
does that have the green guy on it? Yeah, I've seen that pick around. That's for the years.
One. So the Sharp has its own kind of beveling, and it's sharp. The bevel is sharp itself, right? It's not like a real pronounced bevel, but it's symmetrical, and the bevel goes further out and then quickly goes down to the edge, whereas the flow bevel is pushed back up onto. Let me find one here. So, like, to use for an extreme example, the Flow 420, the bevel is pushed up onto the surface of the pick further, right?
Okay, yeah.
And so, when Hetfield got a chance to play the Flow picks, immediately he was like, "Oh shit! Like this might be my new thing." But then went back and forth, and he's like. He's a guy that doesn't stop for like the first thing. He wants to go back and refine, figure out what is the little tiny things that we can do to shift it right to the place that is like the happy medium between this and the previous thing. And that's essentially what happened with that pick, was that it started out as like, a flow like 1.0, or I think he has it in 1.1.0 and a 1.14 or something like that. It's available in both of those, but so the bevel is and everything ended up being a combination effort. It's like somewhere hybrid between the standard Ultex Sharp and the Flow bevel. So it's kind of a combination of efforts, and then his grip and all that stuff. So and it's Ultex ivory Ultex. So there's a bunch of filler in that Ultex to make it look that color. So it sounds a tiny bit different because of the colorant, right, and the filler. It's a cool pick. It's a little thicker than what you and I have been talking about that we like, but it's still really cool.
I don't know why. I think I like it because it's a matte finish pick, It's got a pretty good grip on it. And it didn't sound like typical Altex. So, I just don't like the sound of these clear guys. You know what I mean? Like, maybe if I think I did. I have an Abasi Larada J that they sent me. Gorgeous guitar. Like that's a once in a while guitar for me. And the reason it is because sometimes I'll gas myself out on, like, I've got some gorgeous guitars sitting here, but they're all very, very similar. They're all super Strat style, for lack of a better term, custom 24 style guitars. Even my Kiesels, you know what I mean? Like, because custom 24 is just kind of feels like, it always has felt like home. So I kind of designed, at least this guy right here. This Kiesel was kind of designed to emulate that custom 24.
Bro, that finish is so retarded.
Dude, this finish is crazy. Like, even the back.
I haven't even seen the back. That's the first time I've seen the back. Oh, it's so sick.
Yeah, so it's roasted swamp ash, plus a walnut, 7-piece neck with the Purple Heart. And in the right light, there is uber flame in the walnut. And it's really hard to catch on a video. You can kind of see where my pinky is.
Yeah, a little bit. Yep.
A little bit. But then super subtle touch. And I let Jeff take the lead on this guitar. I was super curious. There's actually a question I got to ask you about this guitar and another Kiesel I have right here that I can't figure out why. This question, I have to ask it, but the headstock is just super classy. You know what I mean? Like, he could have done like a glitter fill resin with like colored Kiesel, but he kept it classy. So here's my question. The strap button here. So this has the 2-piece body, top and body. Yep. The strap button is not centered. It's not perfectly centered.
Oh, from left to right.
It's not. So I don't know if you can. I'll put my.
I can see it.
Yeah, it's not perfectly centered, and the body here, right here, is about yay thick. All right. Check this jam out right here. So that's an Aries neck through. Here is another Aries neck through. Perfectly center. And the body is about yay thin. And it's got the 3-piece body. So the only thing I can think of is that the 3-piece body actually, it has to make the top thinner, but that wouldn't explain taking so much mass away from the body and making that not centered. I don't understand.
So I think that a neck through versus your bolt on, there's gonna be
they're both neck throughs.
Oh, they're both neck through. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So the 3-piece body is not gonna shift it that much. I think that you're looking at just a slight little bit of human. Ooh, I love that.
This is the most stunning.
The back body is so ridiculous.
Roasted ash again.
Yeah, roasted ash again. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
it's a Koa top.
Just goes crazy. I don't know if you can really see, but this, actually, when I got this guitar, I'm in some of the forums on Facebook for the Kiesels, and I had people messaging me saying, like, can I buy that from you? I know Kiesel send it to you. Some guy who said, he's like, I was going to buy that. He was like, I was about to hit buy it now. And then they took it off their site. He's like, name your price. I'm like, dude, just, first of all, none of my guitar, some of my guitars, maybe I would consider selling, but not the Kiesels. They really, really, really work for me right now. They sound great. So yeah, even when someone says, pick your number, like, right. Especially because those were sent to me out of, kind of like the start of a cool relationship with Kiesel. I just wouldn't feel comfortable selling them.
Sure.
So that brings me here to, I don't know how, but to the last pick.
That's right.
The last pick,
Oh yeah.
0.5 flow. It's too thin for me to use as an electric pick, but maybe I can demonstrate here why I like a thin pick. So this sound right here. So this is, I try and steal my picking technique from Paul Gilbert. I used to have the backwards, when I first started, the backwards thumb angle. And I was young. I was like 12, and I was getting like arthritis pain, like super, super painful thumb problems.
Whoa.
Because I would squeeze so hard and I would practice like 8 hours a day. So it was such a pain. I remember pacing around for 6 hours daily. I'd have to just do my daily routine of like eating and doing homework while I was switching my hand like this. So now I play with the correct, I like to call it the correct. But listen to like. That's the sound right there. Like versus like a one of these super, super thick picks, like
it's so quiet.
It's so quiet. You don't get any aggression out of the note. One reason I don't use a stone pick, I just thought of this, is I would love to. One, they don't have any give in them, so I can't play like I play a lot of like funk rhythm in one of the bands that I'm in. So that in itself, if you play a rhythm like this with a stone pick on a guitar, say goodbye to the finish of the guitar. I mean, in these guitars, I'm all for beating a guitar up. Like most of my PRS have like some pretty good dings in them, because not that I don't care, but like it's just a tool. Like it's a tool for me to do my job. But knowing that I'm actually actively doing this, something that I could prevent, I can't jive with that. So
sure.
Yeah, they're fun every once in a while. These picks here are actually made out of a nut, an exotic nut, and they're dyed.
Nut picks. Oh, what's the name of that
picks.
brand? I've seen those advertised. I haven't tried
Howling
those.
Monkey picks.
Howling Monkey. Okay.
And they're like pretty fragile here. Like I actually like accidentally like chipped it. Like,
oh whoa.
I don't know if you can tell, it's not round anymore.
Yeah,
but
I can
like
see it.
it's literally just like the hard part of the nut. You know what I mean? Like a coconut type deal.
I was just gonna go back real quick. I wanted to jump back to because you played that Hetfield pick and you're like, I don't know, there's something that's like better about this than the other Ultec stuff, right? Because the matte finish. Just a heads up that as the Ultec picks get thicker, they get a little warmer, right? They're less ice picky in the highs. So you might not like the way that they hit the way they attack the strings, but you might notice that the tone gets better to your ears with a thicker Ultem pick. So like, I think I sent you a Flow 420. It's a big beveled one. So like that's the extreme case, but that may be part of that thing. And if you find yourself, but I think they probably don't have enough give. Once you get past 1.0, you're going to be like, oh, there's not enough flex in the pick for me at that point. Just to clarify that.
So I've got, I think I have the makings here of my perfect pick.
Okay.
Something between these two, the bulb pick and your pick, with this grip.
Ooh, okay.
Heafy pick. I mean, that right there, I can't see any reason why that wouldn't be a fantastic guitar pick.
Sounds good to me. So 73 probably. I'm thinking well, what would be interesting, what I'll end up doing is I'll talk to Jimmy Dunlop. I'll get him to send you out a couple of the newer Misha picks. So the new material, they don't have, they're going to be, there's two different gauges for him. And if you like the material, then I'll connect you with those guys. And maybe there's some sort of custom thing to be made, because If you can put a grip in the Misha style pick, it's going to be all the things that you're talking about right now. It's because it's a molded pick, but it's molded in the way that is simulating the Tortex edge.
So it's between though. So the Misha pick is not stamped; it's molded.
Well, that one there is stamped, but the new one that I didn't have any of those to send you. But I can have those sent out because they changed the material and went to an injection molded thing. And there's a couple of picks throughout the history of Dunlop. I'm looking for one of the Jeff Limmis picks right now because the Jeff Limmis, maybe I sent you one.
Yeah, you did actually.
Okay,
I have it here.
So that's just, it's not your pick, it's not your vibe, but to give you the history behind this, because he played 1.5 Tortex Sharp for the longest time. And when we went to go to do a signature with him, he was like, I would just, if there's a way to make to put a grip on my Tortex pick. And I'm like, well, we don't, because Tortex is stamped and not molded. We can't injection mold a grip, right? So
exactly.
But what we did with this, if you look at the edges, it looks like it could have been stamped out of something and then, tumbled to roll the edges off. So we created a mold that allowed for that.
Wow.
Right. So
okay.
this is what I'm thinking, that could be an answer for you. And it just depends on, where Dunlop's at and if they can handle the extra work. But I think that they'd be interested in working with you on something like this because it's furthering pick development, right? And I think that what you're pointing to here is, and I'm picking up the Heafy pick, and I have to agree actually. I don't think I ever held the Heafy pick and the Meshuggah pick simultaneously, and I have to agree that you're right. The Heafy pick has got more aggressive grip.
It's fantastic.
It's way
so
more.
One pick that I actually in the hand, the tool pick actually feels great.
Bro, that's another 73.
Okay, we've nailed the thickness.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, and he uses, so Adam Jones uses that pick for part of his set, and then he has an 88 nylon for the other part, in a standard shapes, but the nylon has a tiny bit of a grip. It's a little thicker, right? So he goes back and forth between that thinner Ultex and a slightly thicker nylon. So, it's just an example of like, you could, some people can't get away from having two picks, that's just the way it goes. But everybody would love for that. Like, I want my pick to be strummy and shreddy, but like,
that's the you're talking about, I don't know if you're into cars at all, but like,
yeah,
if you're talking more about creating like an M5 competition of a pick rather than like a nice like Audi A8, like a nice cruiser, and then you have your supercar, right? So like there's two opposite ends of the spectrum. But a lot of people just want that one, like an RS6. They want the hatchback with 800 horsepower. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I go to the grocery store and get groceries in that because it's got a hatchback and put the things in. Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm looking for. Like, I think if that could happen, if I could get something that sounds like this guy, that kind of feels like a combination of these two, right? With that grip, I think it's game over. And I think I could also use that setup on acoustic with no problem. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally.
It's thin enough. You would still have a little bit of that thwack, when it hits the strings, but nothing is going to give you that tone like that on an acoustic, like just uber thin. Okay, why is the Majesty logo on the back of the Timberlake pick?
It's not the Majesty. It's his Man of the Woods logo.
Oh, is that what that is? It looks just like the Majesty
It's really
logo.
close. It's really close. Like the John Petrucci Majesty thing.
Yeah, maybe, I just don't watch this. I don't pay close enough attention to either artist to know what their logos look like. But at first glance, I was like, well, that's a strange collaboration.
It's funny how that pick came together too, man, because I have been friends with Justin's main guitar player, Mike Scott, for many years, and he invited me out, and I brought down some samples, and and it was like the coolest thing. I've hung out and I've been in a room and chatted and had exchanged a few words with Justin a few times, and this one time I came down, I was like, oh, I'll just bring some strings, some acoustic strings for from Dunlop, and here's some picks, and he comes through while we're eating like at the catering area, and stops in, and I'm like, oh, hey, Justin, like I brought you some stuff, and he's like, oh, cool, leave it with my tech, and I'm like, cool, all right, nice to talk to you later, and I come back the next time. It was like another show in San Jose or something like that, and the tech was like, yo, man, we've been ordering those strings ever since you brought us a pack. And I'm like, oh shit, Justin's playing Dunlop acoustic strings, and nobody told me. He's like, yeah, we just started buying them, man. And he's like, well, we sent them to you for free, and we put his name on it if he wanted to make money off of it. He's like, he doesn't care. He just wants to use what he wants to use, but he does want to pick. And I'm like, oh, well, let's work on a pick. So he's like, yeah, but he plays acoustic, and he's a big like strummer, and he's a dancer, right? So he doesn't need anything that has much resistance.
Yeah.
And so
something forgiving, right?
Yeah, we came up with, like, I think that's a 0.46.
That's thin.
That's thin. Super thin, or something like that. It's 0.46 or 0.42 or something. But yeah. And so, and orange was the color. So he just like, all right, let's do the orange thing. He was really into orange during that touring cycle. So I've got too many of those picks laying around here somewhere. But even though this is a pick podcast and all this, and we're going down this thing, I want to ask you a couple other questions. I'm curious about.
Let's do it.
So being raised in a musical scenario, were your parents musical?
So my mom is the least musical person ever, but she loves music. My father, on the other hand, he was in bands when he was a kid, and he has always been just like he's my biggest role model in life. It's almost scary because I don't think I'll ever actually live up to the image I have of him in my head. But just the most honest and selfless person I've ever met, ever, bar none. I don't care who it is. So he actually he bought a music store from a gentleman that had I think he bought it in the 70s. So my dad is a lot older than I am. I am 23 and my dad is 74.
Okay.
He'll be 74 just turned 74. And so we skipped a generation. Mortality is something that you can't really fully understand until it's staring you in the face, and that kind of has always stared me in the face ever since I was young, because I know I'm not going to have my dad as long as most people will, because that giant, there's 50 years between us, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, the life experience, he did everything he could have possibly wanted to do before he had kids. I have a sister, and he owned a very, very successful music store. He built it from not the ground up, because he bought it. It was just a mom and pop shop, and then he bought it, did quite well with it, and then bought like a 17,000 square foot what would you call it, like a store warehouse, I guess. Yeah. So and he had 100 grand pianos on the floor at any given time.
Whoa.
He was not messing around. Pianos was a big part of his business. He had everything. He had prototype Hendrix Stratocasters come through the door that back then they didn't know. I mean, Hendrix was just kind of a guy, like, yeah, it was pretty cool, but they didn't know who Hendrix was going to be in 40 years.
Sure.
So they put him on the wall, put a premium on it, and sold it. but the stories are so crazy. They're so cool, man. He told me one time some guys like Mission Impossible laser cut through the ceiling and rappelled down and stole a whole bunch of gear.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like, dude,
Wow.
it looks like crazy stories. Yeah, so he ended up, he was working, he had a couple stores. He had them in Syracuse, which is about an hour and a half away from where I am. I'm in Rochester, New York.
Mm.
He started thinking, like, I can't keep this pace up. I mean, he was in his 50s, mid 50s. And he was starting to work, again, when holiday season kicked up, he's working 90 hours a week with two young kids. And he says, I can't do this. I'm going to miss my kids growing up. So he sold the business, and it couldn't happen at a better time because he sold it in 2000. And shortly after, I'm talking like a year or two after, the internet guitar trade, Music 123, Music Zoo, all those things, eBay, they all started really, really ramping up. And, Guitar Center took over too.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the end pretty much of large independent music stores. Unless you were just a maniac with, online sales, you couldn't keep up. So, but he lived a really cool life. He still does, but, he had racing boats and dozens of Corvettes and Jaguars and everything like that. But anyway, so he sold the stores in 2000, but he still ended up like doing some real estate, and he was kind of retired here and there. But he didn't really need to work. So he then kept bringing home guitars to sell on eBay because he couldn't stop himself. So I remember clear as day, I was staring at this crappy old acoustic, and I'm staring at it like it's God or something. I'd never seen something so cool, right? And I must have been 5 years old or something like that. And the next day, he comes home with a guitar for me. It was a mini Fender Squier Strat. It was about yay big.
Mm-hmm.
And the day after that, I'm at the end of the driveway. Everyone's gone. The parents are gone. My mom's working. My dad was out showing a house or something like that. My sister was maybe at a friend's house. So, actually, she might have been home. But anyway, I was outside by myself, like 6 years old. And I had a table set up and a little sign that said guitar, $10. And I was strumming it like this, no left hand. I'm just strumming the open strings. And my dad comes down the street and he's going, oh, God. Now I got to break it to this kid. He's going to be broke the rest of his life. So he pulls up and he goes, listen, I'm so sorry that you probably didn't make any money today. And it's really hard to make a living in music. I said, Dad, let's stop you right there. I made like almost $5 today. And and dude, I knew right then that that's what I had to do. And that was that moment right there. And then there was one moment that followed maybe a year or two after. Saw the movie Crossroads.
Oh,
dude, when I tell you what, it was that moment of seeing Steve Vai play that red Charvel, I believe maybe it was I think it was Jackson. That red Sparkle Jackson. It changed my life. It's so crazy to look back and go, that's the moment, but that's it. That is the moment I said, I'm not going to do a job. I'm not going to do anything like this. And, I was a gymnastics instructor. I have a 3rd-degree black belt in Taekwondo. So I'm super active. I work out all the time. And I've worked at Dunkin' Donuts. I've worked at the YMCA. I've done the gymnastics thing. I think I was a full-time contractor.
What?
Dude, when I tell you what, and this was earlier this year.
You were doing like drywall and shit, or what were you doing?
So let me tell you this. So I was doing some touring, making okay money. Really not much to speak of, but I could pay my expenses. And when COVID hit, that's the end of that. So my socials, like my social media, I made no money off of that at all. And this was, like I said earlier, this might have been like winter. It was when COVID hit. It was right when COVID hit. So maybe a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago. I don't know. But anyway, I said to myself, I'm freaking out. Like I was having, these panic attacks, calling my friends like, dude, I'm broke. Like, I don't know what to do. I have, like I was beyond just freaking out. So I reached out to a friend of mine who owns a contracting company, and I said, hey man, I got no experience. And I said, but I'm hungry. I need the cash. Can I come work with you? He said, absolutely. So we did everything, man. We did roofs. I hate roofing. We did roofing. We did full kitchen remodels, full bathroom remodels, tiled showers. We did hardwood floors. We did a lot of drywall on ceilings, which is just a pain in the ass. We unclogged the draining plumbing systems from houses that were 250 years old. I mean, in basements that you look and you go, this is like the Conjuring level terror of being in a basement like that with there's no lights down there or anything. It's all cobblestone. I've seen houses held up by 2x4s. I spent most of my days up 30 feet in the air in the city. And I said, I'm not doing this. I said, dude, I'm not doing this. The reason I started a band locally is so I didn't have to work at YMCA or anything like that. Like I wasn't making great money doing that, but it was fun. And I didn't have to waste my time. So I started building my social media, and what a journey that's been, man. And I was extremely fortunate to make a great living doing that. And this has all happened in the past year. And when I tell you this past year has been, it's like a movie and right in front of me. It's extremely humbling. And, I just worked endlessly. I worked from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day. And then from 4 p.m. to whatever I would go home, and I would either go to the gym because I worked out full time, like not full time, but like I worked out every day. I think I taught guitar too. And then I would stay up until like 3 a.m. getting the post ready for the next day, and thinking of new ideas and recording. And so I was running on like 2-3 hours of sleep for maybe like 6 months, but that 6 months changed my life. And I'll tell you what, I burned out pretty hard after that, but it was like a sigh of relief. Like I can rest now. You can never take your foot off the gas completely, but I don't have to work like that anymore, because I worked myself to death for like a lot of this year. And it was, I've got a lot of things in the oven right now, like things that are actually pretty much done. But like YouTube. So, I've done so much short form content like TikTok and Instagram. Like I've done so much of it. Like this past year, I've gained like almost 4 million followers.
Wow, bro.
And thank you. I've gotten well over 750 million views in the past year and a half. Almost, we're upwards of 1 billion now, like collectively across the entire internet.
Sure.
And like, I'm just like so thrilled now, because the next step is YouTube. It's not like the next step in its entirety, but like it's part of it. Like I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't give it a shot. So I hooked up with this production company, and the first YouTube video is probably going to come out this week. And it's dope. There's drone shots. There's like, we almost get the cops called on us. We're playing guitar in 11 inches of water in a giant abandoned thing. You'll see when you see the video.
Whoa. This is long form content that you're talking about?
Long form content. So
okay.
I'm so excited to be doing that stuff. But I'll, somewhere in the midst of all that craziness, I'm looking for that right pick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I think the pick needs to be custom made. It sounds like. I don't know that there's anything. I'll look around to see if there's anything that fits that bill better. But I think that it sounds like to me that it's going to be something that has to be custom put together for you. I'm curious though, like, was there a point in that building phase, that something that set you off? Was there a moment in like building your TikTok and Instagram stuff where you're like, oh, okay, this is the content that people are craving, and then it seems like maybe you did find that spot, and then that's what kind of set you on the path, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna continue to branch out and replicate and go hard to like, is that what happened, or am I off on that?
So my biggest motivator I've found is fear.
Hmm.
Like a lot of people are motivated by wanting to become the best or this and that. Like, I don't really care about that. I know I'll never be the best guitar player in the world. There's guys that'll eat me alive in terms of chops. As like, but I can market myself way better than them. And I'm very confident in that. So, what I crave out of life is security and freedom. And if I can provide that for myself as well as the people I love, I am the happiest guy in the world. You know what I mean? To be able to say, to have the security to go, I'm set this year. I've got, if something were to happen, I'll be okay. But the freedom to go, I feel like going to like the Maldives, for a week. Let's go. Bring my closest people with me. That's what I'm craving out of life, and that's what I'm shooting for. It's crazy, dude. Like, so crazy. Like, I get recognized in like the grocery store, and I could be across the country. Like, I was just in Arizona, and I was in a nightclub there, and I was recognized a couple times, and it's crazy. It's like, it's so weird because you almost think like you're being punked, like, but there's no way you could be because they recognize you. Like, It's not like they're in on anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a friend of you. But I'm so grateful for everything that's happened. But in terms of the content, so let me answer your actual initial question here. So you find that there are you have to be on the same willingness to throw away an idea as you are to create one. So if something doesn't work, you tried it, move on. I know people that like try and force a square peg into a round hole, like, and it's, I'm watching you self-destruct on the internet. You know what I mean? So, it's just not the best. It's not the best thing to do. I could say more things about that, but just what I found is, if you got an idea that people seem to like, give them more of it. It's obvious that if you see numbers there, they're telling you that they want more of it, or at least they don't want the exact same thing again. Though maybe put a different spin on it and let it run its course. Maybe it lasts you a couple months. Maybe that idea lasts you a whole year. Maybe it's 2 videos. But, that'll, every time you do a concept, improve on it in some way. And that's what I try and do. Every single post that I do, there are some posts that are branded and sponsored, and those serve their purpose. And there are some, typically, I work with brands that, I believe in, or I think have really cool products, or I think my audience can benefit from, but I would say just be willing to create every single day, and something will happen. If you can create something different every single day, something will happen.
I like it.
It's just like people always ask me what the best time to post is, or what the best hashtags are. Listen, I've had posts get well over 10 million views, whether I posted at 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. or 3 p.m. or 8 p.m. or whatever you wanted to say. And you got to think, someone's awake somewhere in the world. Someone's watching something give it to them. You know what I mean? Obviously use maybe some common sense, like look at your analytics and say, where's the most of my audience? And then base it around that. Like, when do people get out of work, right? Don't post it at like what time people are driving home from work. If everyone's in the United States, but then again, time zones, right? So it doesn't really matter.
I like what you're pointing towards. And I want to say, it sounds like what I hear you're saying is that, don't be too precious with your ideas. So be willing to be nimble, to kind of shift and keep your eyes open. Be willing to check in with yourself and be honest. Okay, well, okay, that didn't work the first 3 times I did it. I don't know that I need to keep doing that and, make myself kind of this weird spectacle on social media where it just keeps getting worse and worse. Right. And then I love your advice to just keep creating, because that also plays into the non-preciousness, right? Because a lot of creations that we make aren't necessarily all for public consumption either, right? But if you're creating a little something every day, maybe 1 out of 3, maybe 1 out of 5, maybe 1 out of 10 are the ones that are going to be fire for your public consumption thing. And that rest of that stuff may get developed. Some of it might get developed. Some of it just stays on the cutting floor, right? You don't necessarily need to share everything, because if we're always experimenting, we're always allowing the creative juices to flow, then there's this opportunity to happen upon like a real aha moment. You're like, oh wait, no, this is the thing, and through that kind of playing of the numbers, you start to kind of like get a corral. You're like, okay, now like where you're at a place where most people can't quite comprehend, right? Because they're like, oh, you got to deal with Samsung, bro. Like, you're talking about 10 million, views. I'm like just trying to get 100 views on a thing, over here. But it doesn't really matter where you're at if you have an attitude such as yourself, where you're willing to kind of shift and move and not be tied to one particular thing. That in that playing of the numbers, as you kind of deduce what is best, then you'll find your thing. It's what it kind of sounds like how you've done it. Am I right about that?
Yeah, it's so weird to even hear those words, how I've done it. Like I look and I go, what have I done? You know what I mean? But
you've had a lot of fun, man.
I've had a lot of fun, man. I've also put a lot of time in, and you don't really realize like this is what I do full time, is like,
right.
I'm surrounded by guitar picks, and I'm having fun, and I'm like, I just get to do anything I want pretty much every day. And like for me, the sky is not even the limit anymore because of some of the possibilities that have come to me. Like if I have an idea, we can pretty much do it, and that's sick. But anyway, I've discovered a problem here with the grip on the pick. While we sit here in passing.
What is it?
So when I play guitar, I play like this and I hybrid pick, right? There's no problem there. But I switch the pick into my middle finger. And that is dependent on the pick being slick because it slides.
Correct.
If there's a grip on the pick, it doesn't slide. Darn. Let me try it with one that's like actually full size with a pretty good. Okay, so here's the Tortex Flow, I believe it is. It's actually not that bad.
Oh, the Ultex, the blue one. Yeah.
So that's this one.
So that you just kind of came across the part where like most people love a super good grip until they realize when they're on stage and they're live and that grip and the pick is, say you grab the pick a slightly different and you go, oh man, I'm trying to switch the position of the pick and you're so locked into the grip. So that can be actually when we created the Meshuggah pick, that was one of Frederick's things. He was like, I want the grip to be dope, like the cat tongue thing, but I don't want it to be so grippy that like I can't switch positions live. Right. So
Okay, so there might be a case for not doing the Matt Heafy grip.
Or we can tame it down, right?
Maybe
You like-
tame it down because this grip, it just maybe it's my fingerprint. It just works with it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like glue on the finger. It's
Mm.
fantastic. But yeah, it's not that bad. It's pretty bad with the Heafy pick, I'll tell you, because it's such an intense grip, and it's a small pick, so I already have trouble switching it anyway.
Right.
But like the bulb pick,
Goes right
I mean,
through.
like
Yeah.
that's super quick, and the reason I do that is so I can then finger pick. I've seen some players do it in their first finger, and that makes no sense. I mean, everyone's got their own technique, but that makes no sense to me because you're wasting the best finger on that hand for picking.
You should check out Andre Neary. He passes it to his pinky, I believe, and then
Oh, that's epic.
Yeah, so and he's fast with it. He's practiced shifting it to the pinky so that he's got these fingers ready to go. And then I'm such a dullard when it comes, but he can bring it right back, and like you wouldn't even know that it was ever gone. It's kind of crazy.
Wow. I'm so comfortable with the middle finger switch, and I can still finger pick with
That's cool.
independent, right? Like it doesn't look like much, but like I can do everything I need to do because this finger still isn't a picking
Position.
shape,
Yeah.
right? So and most times, like I'll be in a video and I'll be finger picking like this, and you can't tell I'm holding a guitar pick until I do that.
Until it's
So
time.
it's kind of cool. It's kind of a cool little technique. I don't know who maybe I stole that from Paul Gilbert too. I probably stole a lot.
Paul's the best, man. He was just on the podcast a couple episodes ago, and he was a riot to talk to. He's so much fun. So I want to ask you one last main question, and that is, I always like to know, like, what have you been listening to lately? Is there any players or albums that have kind of caught your interest recently? Or, just share a little bit of what kind of has been inspiring you, or, you've been enjoying just regular listening.
What an underwhelming answer I have for you.
It's okay.
So I listen for the environment that I'm trying to create for myself. Like if I have to play a lot of guitar, I end up seeking out more guitar music, but forcefully listening to it because I know I want to play better. I start to play better as I listen to more guitar players. It's just like everyone would. But I'll start listening to Intervals is such a great band. They're just awesome. But a lot of times I just, I don't like getting so caught up in listening to the same thing over and over again. I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice. But you end up really keying in on a song. If anyone that's listening wants a great band to listen to, there's the band Camino, which I like their I don't know. Have you ever heard of them? The band Camino?
No, Camino, Camino.
Yeah, the band Camino. That's their band name, the band Camino.
Oh, the band Camino. Okay.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Listen to the album Try Hard. I think it's better than their new album.
Okay.
But wow, the guitar tone on Daphne Blue on the intro, that guitar tone is so good. So good.
Cool.
So I like listening to them. I like listening to, there's a band called Candy. They're a hard band to find on Spotify. It's my producer's band. But some about their sound I just think is so dope. They don't get crazy streams, but like I believe in them. I think they're great, and that's all that matters for me. I don't care about anyone else's thoughts. So I also force myself to listen to what's hot in pop music, just because that's part of the world I live in is pop music.
Sure.
And I can only take so much heavy music. Like I do love it, but I can't sit there and listen to screaming all the time. I just can't do it. Some people, that's their passion. Like I do love it, but like that's typically when I'm in a certain type of mood.
What's one of your favorite heavy bands, like, of all time? What would you Who would you put in like the all-time favorites zone? Like,
I want to give you a really honest answer here and tell you like a recent one. So let me go into Spotify here.
okay.
So these are just what I was listening to recently, and then I'll tell you the heavy band. This playlist called Trauma Factory, which I don't know, I could easily live without that. Threat to Survival by Shinedown. It's
Great
like a
band.
2013 album, I think. Justice by Justin Bieber. I'm a huge Bieber fan. I love his stuff, especially his recent stuff. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Dearly Beloved by Daughtry, his new album. It's so good, dude. It's
Cool.
heavy. It's
Really?
everything is like detuned to like drop B or B flat. Everything, and it's all riffs.
Wow. Okay. I'll check that out.
It's kind of like, and then the album 30 by Adele. So it's kind of like, oh man, everybody loves to rip on Nickelback, and I can't figure out why, because I love Nickelback. Anyone that's listening that wants to challenge me on that, listen to The Devil Went Down to Georgia cover by Nickelback that they just posted. Have you heard it, Chris?
No, I haven't heard that one yet.
Can I pull it like 2 seconds of it up?
Of course.
All right, listen. I don't even know if I would attempt this. Like, and I can play a lot of shit on guitar. Let's see if we can find the guitar player in this band is so insane, and this band does not get as much credit as they deserve. So it starts off with these metal drums, but
he's ripping.
He's ripping.
Well, I'm gonna check that out, dude.
It's just like a heavy metal shred fest of guitar. Like, this band goes hard. They're one of the most awarded bands in history.
True.
I think that they have great songs. And most of their songs, I know everyone would hate to admit this, are riff based. Like, if you listen to Feed the Machine, their album Feed the Machine, or Million Miles from Home or something like that, the one with the earth on it, it's all just heavy metal riffs. That's all it is, with like kind of dirt southern rock drums behind it. That's all it is. So yeah, I love them. But in terms of a heavy band, I mean, I'm a huge Slipknot fan.
Dope.
Huge Slipknot fan. I love Seven Dust.
Oh, they're great too. They're
great. I love Periphery.
Hell yeah.
There's and then if I really need to like get, like, if I'm in the gym and I'm just like nothing's doing it for me, I'll put on like Whitechapel.
Yeah.
Like
dope.
that. Yeah,
Those
like
guys are
that. That's
brutal.
pretty much the limits as to like how heavy I get. But like Brimstone by by Whitechapel is I almost said White Castle.
Burgers.
Yeah, right. Brimstone by Whitechapel is like that's a PR song right there.
That's dope though. I can appreciate that list, and I can even appreciate the Nickelback mention, because you know, I'm not a huge fan of them, but I have worked with Chad and those guys a little bit and made picks for them, and they're all really nice and been very cordial. And I even got like when I was up in Toronto a few years back, I ended up hanging out with Ian Thornley from Big Wreck. He's good friends with Chad and Nickelback was in town and rehearsing, and so we got whisked away to go to a private rehearsal out there. And I was told, you know, just blown away with like the setup and how cool everybody was, and they take their craft seriously, right? Obviously. And I think that at the end of the day, people mostly like to have something to hate, right? Like they want to be on the same. So it's like all of a sudden, oh, well, let's all hate Nickelback. You know, it's like, I don't know who started it. And, you know, they have some, you know, radio hits that, you know, people probably just like make fun of for whatever reason. Lyrically, it's not their thing or whatever. But at the end of the day, man, like when you're super successful, it pulls out a lot of haters too. Like you can't live without it. It's just what's going to happen. Right. So, and
my dad always told me, he says, if you don't have haters, you're not doing something right. Like, or basically what that means is like, you know, if people don't have a reason to hate you, you're not killing it. Like you know, like that's the way I look at it. Like it was really hard. Like, cause what I do in the guitar world, like I've never really had any desire to please the guitar community. I never have. And, you know, I love the guitar. Obviously, look, I'm a guitar player. I'm a guitar geek. Everything I'm surrounded by, like I have experimental pedals here. I have pickups that were just custom made for me that I have yet to have installed. These are gorgeous pickups.
Who did those?
These are Lambertone pickups.
Never heard of them. They look really cool.
They have this like let's see if I'll pull one out for you. Yeah. So they have like my fingerprints on it now. So it's like a plexiglass with like a smoked chrome surround, but it's got glitter stripes in there.
What the hell? What kind of voodoo is that?
So cool. They've never done a design like exactly like this one. And then on the back, of course, we've got, I don't know if you'll even be able to see this. Up there it says made for John Dretto, which I've never had that on a pickup. So I thought that was the bee's knees, man.
Gotta love that, dude.
Yeah, so I'm a complete guitar nerd, and but I want to bring guitar to everybody, you know, and like I had a conversation with a brand recently. I talked to so many brands. I'm always on the phone with them. And they have an award-winning product, but it's directed towards guitar players. And I said, how about this? You don't sell tires. Well, actually, I think he said this to me after what I said to him. But we landed on this. You don't sell tires to race car drivers. You sell tires to soccer moms and guys that drive to the office every day. You know what I mean? So what I mean by that is if you pigeonhole yourself and you make your market that big, guys that want to hear the harmonic major mode over a French augmented sixth chord, like things that just like no one would ever search for, that guitar players think that's what the people want, and that there is a beauty in going that far into music. There really is. I have a degree in music. I know how to read and write music. I have extensive theory background. I know this. But music business is two words for a reason. There's the music and there's the business. You have to, if you want to make a living at this stuff, you either have to be a savant, like just so musically gifted that it transcends all else. Chances are you're not that. Unless you're Jacob Collier, forget about it. But you know, you have to know how to market yourself. You have to think of yourself as a product. And it's a conversation a lot of people get uncomfortable with. They go, dude, and then they start to shrug it off, like, you know, maybe I don't want to be a sellout, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that. Okay, well, would you call Michael Schumacher a sellout because he's sponsored by Red Bull? No. He's racing a car, doing what he loves, being supported by maybe a brand. That's kind of exactly what I do. I play guitar all day. I get supported by some of the best brands on earth, and it gives me the freedom to do whatever I want to do. So if that sounds like a fun life, start looking at music more like that, rather than just a way. You totally can. Like a lot of my nights are spent. I have 5-string bass here, a 7-string, a bossy. I've got all these Kiesels and PRS laying around, and got headless guitars over there. I grab them and I just noodle. And I'm not filming. I'm not doing it for a purpose other than my own enjoyment. But it's a business. If you want to make a living at this, you need to sort out that part of it. You know what I mean? And it's something that just so many musicians aren't doing. And they need to. You know, is this making kind of, are you feeling this?
No, yeah, it makes sense to me. And I think part of what I think the decision these days really is like, it's because some of us are cut out to turn it into a business, right? On some degree to market ourselves and do the thing. But I think that it's still also really a sweet, maybe it's the more rebellious thing to do this day and age, is to just play for one's own enjoyment, right? Because everybody's got an Instagram, everybody's got a TikTok, and you could join that group and acclimate to that and try to, decipher the code and figure out what is the thing that rises you to the top and allows you to kind of, turn it into a business and make a living and do that thing. And on the other side of things, I think, which is cool, just as cool, is somebody that says, you know what, whether I know how or I don't know how to do that, that's not for me. I just want to watch John play and then go buy the pick that he ends up making and keep plunking away, doing the thing, hanging out with my friends. Because I have a job or a career or a thing that I really like to do that that sustains me. So, but obviously anything in between is also okay. It's just kind of
I totally agree.
Right.
Totally. Just want to put that out there. I totally agree. And there's one of my good friends, his name is Elvio Fernandez. He's the keyboard and guitar player for mostly keyboards and vocals for Daughtry. And he's made it. You know what I mean? He tours the entire globe playing music. He made it a different way than I'm going to. We've had conversation. I did I guess you'd call it like a TED talk at a music school. Where I answered questions and spoke about my story, and it was his music school. And we ended up on this exact topic, talking in front of all the kids. Like we've both had success in music, but it's been in two completely different worlds. So anyone that's listening to this, or in 200 years when people excavate this, they go, what's a USB drive? You know what I mean? Like, it'll be like the floppy disk or like a rock to them. I don't know. So you can make it being a session musician. You don't have to do what I'm doing. I guess my point behind saying all that was, if you want to make a career in music, there are avenues to do that. You just need to put yourself in the headspace to do that. Right.
Yeah.
So that's an if. Like I do things on the side for music that I love, that I wouldn't want to make my career. I get enough of it. I'm cool with that. Like working out. Some people could easily say, oh, you can get sponsors and, work out all day, and I eat all day and I travel and I just stay in shape for a living. That's not for me. I don't have that same mentality. So I can 1,000% resonate with that. A lot of people don't want to make music their career, and it's just a passion. And that's the funny part about when in the odd case that your passion is your job, because there are days I have enough of guitar. Like I don't even pick up a guitar for like 2 or 3 days. If I have enough of it, I'm good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes it happens to be where like I have to have a contract fulfilled. And it's on one of those days where I don't feel like playing guitar, and then it feels like work. You know what I mean? So there is a human element to this. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. It is sometimes it's like, I really don't feel like doing this. Like, cause I edit all my stuff too, except for the YouTube stuff. I don't edit that cause I'm not good enough, but, yeah, man, there's a ton of other avenues. You could be an orchestral musician. There's people that make incredible money being first chair violin or piano, a pianist, or, a percussion player.
Yeah.
Or you can play for, film scores. You can transcribe. There's 1,000 ways you can make a living in music.
And you could be in the industry support, such as myself. I've been almost 15 years in the support role, right? Like the reason why I can even say that thing is like some people might just want to like make music for fun, right? Is because identify as that person. I had bands, you know, back in the day, and we toured up and down the West Coast, and in the beginning, I remember thinking, oh man, it's only a matter of time before we get signed, bro, because we're fucking sick, right? And then we get on tour and we tour and we meet all these random bands on tour, and we're like, shit, dude, these younger people are actually better than us, and like I don't know if we have a chance, you know, like
all been there, man.
Right. It's an interesting thing. And it was really sobering for me. And then I remember coming back from that, and I too went to school for music business and music performance, you know, like in Shoreline
Did
Community
you actually?
College.
That's my two. Both. I have a degree in music business, a degree in music performance.
Yeah, right.
Dude,
right here.
No
That's what
way.
I did. But I went the other direction. I was like, okay, I know I can see myself clearly enough that I'm not dedicated enough to be the best or a super shredder or any of that stuff. But I really enjoy music and I understand it on a visceral level. I've toured enough and I know what touring musicians go through. And it just so happened that when I graduated, and my bass player at the time was like, dude, there's this company over on the east side of the lake that's hiring. I think they own Mackie and Ampeg, bro. Like, you would be the guy. He's like, I applied and he couldn't get the gig because he didn't have the know-how, but I went over and got it. And that was like where everything started for me. And I just kind of worked my way up, and they quickly saw that I had marketing and relationship like potential. And so they handed me the phone and said, hey, why don't you call the rock stars and like start getting them to do ads and stuff for us, because we don't know who else to have do it, you know? And I was like, I'm your guy. I'll do it. So I've been doing that thing ever since. And it's kept me close to the music, close to the inspirational people. Now, granted, my position is also unique, right? Like your position is super unique in that where you've been able to get to so far, and my situation is super unique in a similar situation. But it doesn't mean that you can't achieve something, because if you find yourself adjacent to the music business or whatever, if you just get nerdy about a thing, then you know, before you know it, in your circle, you're the guy that everybody, or gal that everybody comes to for that information, right? And before you know it, like, you become kind of your own thing, and then you work with other nerds and you acquire their nerd information as well.
Right.
And before you know it, you're just a mega nerd about something, and everybody's like, dude, you're the mega nerd. Wait, let me just pay you to do the mega nerd thing for this particular part of my business or whatever, right? You can start your own consulting business. There's all this support. As you see, you go to the tours and stuff, you see all these people on the side of the stage. There's like, it takes a village of people to get Bonamassa on stage,
you know
right?
What? The last time I was at a big show, it's so funny you say that. I said to, I think I brought my buddy to a show, and I said, the only thing that makes this a tour and not just some guy standing there is everyone behind the scenes, is everyone that you see setting everything up, tearing it down. Because we were at sound check, and it wasn't the Bonamassa sound check. I think it was Kenny Wayne Shepherd. It was I went to the Kenny Wayne Shepherd sound check. Dude, what a player! He had a lot of people on hand for that show, because they got two vocalists in that band, and then their whole band. So like, there's, you know, they got a lot of people to take care of. So, yeah, I completely I love that we kind of landed on that. I got a friend actually who does military contracts that he helps design like rockets and stuff for the military, like stuff he can't really talk about. It's different than like space rockets. Like these are like weapons of
like
mass
war rockets,
destruction, like war rockets, right? So you go over his house, and he's like, all right, let me show you what I've been working on here. And it's just music. Like, that's like, he does his thing and he comes home and he's like totally cool with like just being this, like, he got tons of money. So he's like totally cool with like just entering in like all his MIDI stuff. And he's like, we think about this. I got another friend that I don't know what he does actually on the daily, but I just made me think of it. He actually has one of those bookshelves where you pull a book and the whole bookshelf opens to his studio. It is
that's the dream.
epic. It's epic, dude. but he actually is a drummer. He's got this like Hewer drum kit. I think he's got a couple of them. I've never even heard of them. They're like super boutique. They're like ultra expensive drum kits. I think they're bespoke as well. They're made to order.
How do you spell the name?
Huer, Hewer.
Oh, drums. Okay, I'll take a look at that.
Yeah, they're cool. They sound so good, super tight, man. Like so snappy. At least this kit does.
I think that's part of what I'm also gathering from this conversation too, as we kind of contrast the different ways of being involved in music and music production and stuff, is that, man, it feels good to create. It feels good to sit with whatever your tools are. Maybe it's music, maybe it's pottery. Maybe my buddy makes cool cups. All right, like, you know, his Iron Grizzly pottery here in town. Like, he makes vases and stuff, and he was also a musician in my band too. He's also a vocalist and a rapper and all this other stuff too. But it's, you know, I think the act of doing the thing, and I think it's maybe understated or undersold at times, because especially in music, because we're always like, oh, like you play guitar, oh, you get to get on stage and be a star. It's like, or I could just stay home, put my MIDI in, and feel good about like the act of creating. Because, you know, it's kind of like waiting for Christmas, right? Like the whole suspended feelings of like what's going to happen when you're a kid, when you open that box, right? Like the month and a half or 2 months, or maybe all year long, you're thinking about what you're going to get for Christmas as a kid, is more exciting and more like interesting than the actual day, right? That it comes a lot of times.
There's an old saying, it's the hunt, not the kill.
Exactly. That's it.
That's why people get so much enjoyment out of hunting, because the kill it lasts that long. The hunt could last for months. You're tracking something for months, right?
Yeah.
So that's the idea there is. And you know what? I like, no matter how successful you get, you are the same person when you wake up. Like it is. I've got so far in life that I want to go, but the little that I have accomplished thus far, I just wake up, I'm the same exact person. I still have the same struggles. I still have, the same, thought process. Nothing actually changes. You have experience, you know how to deal with things a little bit better maybe, or the right avenues to take, but you are not changed. You are not better. You are not worse. You are not anything. You are exactly the way that you are. And I'm sure that you can attest to that. You kind of resonate with that. Yeah.
Wherever you go, there you are, man. And that's, it's, it's a kind of a Zen type thing, because, and that's part of the kind of the faux pas for like self-help in a way. Like we get, like, I'm a yoga teacher on the side. Like I love meditation and yoga. That's what I do. I got up at 4 a.m. today so that I could teach at 6 a.m. And most people don't give a fuck about getting up at any early time to do anything. I don't even make any money worth talking about to do the thing. Right. But, I appreciate presence. I appreciate space. I appreciate the feeling of, or, kind of remembering that, like, that there's nothing you can really add to this, like what's going on. Like it feels like it. That's why it can be an allure to like, oh, I need another guitar. Oh, I need more pedals. Oh, I need more experience. You get hungry for a thing, but that's why that quickly becomes an empty thing, right? So it's more in the patience and the preparation stage of when you find something that you like, get patient and just have fun preparing in the hunt mode, right? And the kills, they come because you're just exercising this feeling of being in alignment with something that you really enjoy versus seeking after. Because if we seek after fame, fortune, and physical material things, it'll never be enough, right? But like if we get calm and patient about with who we are. Each day we wake up, we go, oh yeah, it's me again. All right, okay, I'm gonna do the thing. And all right, let's see what today has to offer versus oh man, I gotta get to, you know, the next level on my followership. I got to do all these other things. You can shift the goals a little bit towards the more simpler things, then there can be sustainable kind of joy, you know, in the process of what we're up to. And that's my take on it anyway.
It's hard to find a balance between those things because a lot of my life is lived on numbers. So like, you know, it is a lot of what my thought process is just as much as a guitar is a tool for success. And it's a vehicle for delivery, much as a chip is a vehicle for dip. It's just a vehicle for dip to the mouth is all a chip is. The guitar is a vehicle to express, to show talent on a video. It says, I mean, call it what it is. Like that's just what it is. You know what I mean? Like it is, yes, there's this, you know, there's this deep meaning behind every note that I play and this and that and this and that and stuff. But if we really are just calling it like it is, it's just a way to show your talent.
Sure.
And there are some posts or there's some videos or some songs that I've played on and have been involved in where sometimes it's more of that and less of that. Sometimes it's more of I didn't even remember the camera was rolling. And other times it's, oh man, I'm fighting for every note here. Or like I am very aware of everything that's happening right now. But those moments where you forget that the camera's rolling, you forget that maybe you've got, I don't know, a splinter, or you forget everything leaves the mind except for that present moment. And that moment's gone before you can even appreciate it. You know what I mean? It's before you can truly appreciate it. And I just had one of those moments. It was amazing, man. It was, I opened up for Lou Gramm in one of the bands that I play, and wow. He was lead singer of Foreigner, and I sang. I never sing with this band, but we were at dinner before the show, and somehow we left dinner, and I had agreed to singing "Shallow" by Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. So, and there was a female vocalist. We did a duet. It went great. And through that whole song, I was very aware of what was happening. And then, you know, we finished playing, and I go and get a drink. And time goes on. They're playing all the Foreigner hits. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm in the audience, and I see a couple of my band members go up on stage with Lou Gramm, and I'm just standing there going, well, you know, like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I took a shot. I walked up. I just walked right. I went all the way around the barrier, walked right up on stage, and I looked at Lou Gramm, and he was like, it was a nod of like, yeah, you got guts, kid, or like something like that. Like just no one invited me up there. And I just walked up there, and he says, look, we got a whole choir now up here of singers. And we sang, I want to know what love is. Dude, I want you to show me whatever, like
the sickest.
I can't even tell you the out of body feeling that I had singing that next to the man that made that a hit on stage with him. It was so surreal. And I felt like I had done it. Like it didn't matter at that point in time. Any numbers, it didn't matter any type of brand relationships, it didn't matter what kind of guitar I was playing, what kind of pick I was playing. I was so content with everything that was happening in my life at that moment. Not that I'm not already,
sure, but
I'm always hungry for more, and at that moment I was hungry for no more. That was more than enough for me. And it was, I rarely feel like that because I'm extremely hungry for the next thing all the time.
That's kind of what they what you would kind of maybe explain or consider to be like a transcendent experiential moment, right? Where you're not tripping about the future or the past. It's kind of a timeless moment where things are just happening and you're just it's a flow state of sorts, right? So, and I think that, everybody's looking for a bit of that, right? Because it's usually a problem of underthinking or overthinking, right? Am I underthinking a thing and then I'm not like on top of what it is that I'm here to do, whether it's speech or guitar riff or lick or whatever it is, or am I overthinking and am I kind of, not as loose and as like available as I could
Am I
be.
trying too hard, right?
Yeah, try hard. Yeah, that's where it's at. So it's like that middle path, that kind of not too much, not too little. And it's elusive at times, but I think that to further that is to say that in our exploration of our craft, whatever it may be, you have to let the pendulum swing to those extremes. You have to find out what's not enough. You have to find out what's too much, and then slowly the pendulum, swings a little less hard to the extremes, and your pendulum is swinging just outside, and you're passing through that center point a little more often because it takes a lot of time for the pendulum to get back to center, right? So there's an element of spending more time closer to the flow state after we've kind of really explored the too little and too much type of thing.
There is, you just answered the question that you asked me earlier, which was, how did you know when you landed on the right content? And it's this, you know what I mean? And it truly is. And that's also, I think that's true with everything. And, if you were to put a pendulum in a vacuum with no air, and, how long would it take to do that? A lot longer than if there was friction, right? There's friction in all our lives. You know what I mean? There's loss. There's love. There is fear. There is elation. There is happiness and grief. There's everything that's acting, all these forces acting on us, and we are the pendulum, and we're trying to find our true path. And you almost never, it's funny because a lot of times people don't find it until they've lived their life. You know what I mean? The pendulum doesn't settle until they've lived the entirety of their life and they know who they are. And that's almost kind of the human condition that plagues us is time. We only have so much time to figure out what that purpose is.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good place to leave it, dude. I really think that that it's really nice to hear your take on all these things, because it's each person has their own signature kind of blend of how they come to find themselves and exploring those extremes and trying to sort out for themselves. And so when we hear other people about their journey, about how they got to where they feel more close to the flow state more often, right? Then it kind of, at least for me, it opens up and I go, oh yeah, so much is possible, right? My version might not look like yours, but hearing about yours gives me confidence to go out and explore and find it for myself. So,
oh, thanks. Yeah, that's epic, man. I mean, there's one thing that you can truly give someone that can affect them is information. And, information can alter your neurological wiring, like it can alter your pathways. If I were to tell you that Ronald McDonald was like the McDonald's mascot was, if you ever see him in person, he's going to kill you. that would change how your brain's wired. You would constantly be on the lookout for him. When you see him, you would like have a physical reaction to it. Like, so information can seriously alter who we are, in media and all this, all these things. But I think if there's one thing that can truly change who we are, it's a good guitar pick.
Yes. That's where we're going to leave it, Dretto. All right. Dude, hey, so thank you so much. I appreciate you spending so much time. We probably got a little over 2 hours together, and that's really nice to get an in-depth kind of A, we went nerdy on all the picks, and B, we got into some life stuff and ended with some philosophical meanderings. So dude, I just want to really appreciate, say I appreciate the time. I know you got a busy schedule. And I look forward to seeing what we can do with the picks as we go forward.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I can't thank you enough. Just the gesture of, for everyone that's listening, you must have sent me, I mean, over 50 picks. You're like
about that, yeah.
Like, I'm telling you what, like anything, if you're looking for a guitar pick and you need knowledge on it, or you just need some, like, just some good energy, you're gonna find it right here. And I think there is a Bonamassa pick in here. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, man, thanks so much. This is honestly gonna change the way I play guitar for probably the rest of time, because I've always been compromising on a guitar pick, and now I see no reason to compromise anymore, and I have the confidence now, thanks to you, to try new things.
You got it, bro. Well, let's stay in touch, man. We'll talk again real soon.
Sounds good, brother. All right, take care. Thanks for having me. See you guys.
See ya.
Players Pick Podcast, Picks and Perspective with Chrys Johnson. Pool table.
Players Pick Podcast is brought to you in part by our good friends at Dunlop Guitar Products, Kiesel Custom Guitars, and our favorite new coffee company, Road Roaster Coffee. Use coupon code PLAYERSPICK for 20% off your first order at roadroastercoffee.com.